So, hello and welcome everybody to the Digi Snack. Today's topic is ready for AWS Financial Management. And this is with Enrique. And now, without any further ado, the stage is yours. Enrique, welcome.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope this topic is interesting enough for you. After all, you guys decided to join us. So, first of all, a little bit of introduction about the webinar itself and myself. Starting with me, I've been a trainer with AWS's authorized services for training for more than 6 years now. I have what they call the champion status, which means I just have a bunch of AWS experiences with certifications to back them up. So I've been working, doing trainings for AWS for quite a bit of time, but prior to that, I was a developer. I am a computer science major, first turn infrastructure engineer. For the past 25 years, I've been doing pretty much everything. And I have been in love with cloud for quite a bit of time, more than 10 years, working mainly with AWS, even though I do work with other cloud providers. And in this next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to show you one particular thing that I really find it interesting, which is, AWS's capabilities, at least some, in financial management. The most important thing that marks cloud is that you don't pay in advance for the services. It is a pay-as-you-go or on-demand pricing. And this creates some challenges when we are trying to budget or when we are trying to understand how much we are actually using in AWS, how much capital we are using. And I'm going to use example like a couple of my clients. As a consultant, I have helped many startups taking the next stage, the next step. And in AWS, this means understanding a little bit how we are expending money and how to optimize for that. So I'm going to introduce you to no longer a startup company, make it relatable, let you meet the team, and then understand a challenge of how to choose between two projects or two different infrastructure implementations. Now, we are going to see that more often than not, costs could be a tiebreaker, the deciding factor, and we are going to allow you to see what we can do in order to understand what we are going to be using in this choice as defining factor. Some of these techniques are the very basic of what we are going to do in this job path of financial management. So it is applicable right now, some of the techniques that we are going to speak about. Understood? Any question about this? Good. So let's start meeting the team, shall we? Our case study is a company that made a successful web app about the prescriptions that people get. Many people need to understand the implications of the medication that they take regularly, and this is a way to record this. So they create this amazing app which is a software as a service offering, so that doctors could monitor the actual usage and actual adherence to the prescribed medication regime that users have. The next stage of this company is understanding what they can do next, and the internal competition of who gets the best idea for the next product for us to launch generated 3 great ideas or proof of concepts. And the small team of solutions architect, developers, and operational support, they were all involved. So my client Marcus asked me if I could help them out in understanding what was the team's proposals and how to deal with those, how to implement them. Now, Greg and Lisa, they are more technical than Mark. Mark, as a CEO, he wants results. Greg, as a solution architect, wants to implement those resources, that solution quickly, and cloud has been a good help in that. Lisa, on the other hand, she is, Lisa is a very interested person, understands that cloud has challenges, and is trying to figure out how to best keep the books and accounting in line with operational needs. Erica, Liu, and Dennis are developers, and they are actually coming into the fold in this company in order to be able to scale the capacity to deliver. And the team is round up by Melanie. Melanie is the support person. She's the one that, although clients don't interact very much, she's the one that has to wake up at night if there is any error in the environment supporting the application. She's the one giving anything that is required to the rest of the team as improvements, so that not only the client could be happier, but the service could also be provided in the lowest possible friction, lowest possible a nuisance to anyone. Now, that competition created 3 very fine entries for final selection. This somehow was a split vote against sleeping tracker, health monitor, and a nutrition application. All of those applications are mobile applications, so the CEO really could see that being a next product. So the problem is, how can we actually figure out what is the best proof of concept, what is the best, in the financial terms, option for us to take? So usually this is not a concern early in the game, but since the team could not have any other reason to differentiate these 3 proof of concepts, we need to find something to take that doubt out. So Mark, being pragmatic, he just looked at the solutions presented, and one of them was, what if we could gather the information about how this is going to cost us, what is the actual investment that we really need to do, and if we could, based on that data, extrapolate, forecast a little bit more about the actual costs of that project, we can then be more aware of how and what would be the implications of choosing one solution over the other, one proof of concept, one new product over the other. But he understood that just knowing this for the POC is not enough. We really need to have a way to make sure that we have this integrated with the day-to-day business so that we could at any point in time get the correct value for our investment and keep track of these costs along the whole improvement life cycle that they already implement. So we talk a little bit about it, and the team had a very nice brainstorm session where many things were discussed. There is something called the Well-Architected Framework from AWS itself that has cost optimization as one of its pillars. That framework allows you to get information about what is best practices so that we could, as quickly as possible, adopt new techniques into our environments. And not surprisingly, Greg, as architect, has been aware of that. Lisa, on the other hand, didn't have that capability. So she actually was more interested in seeing how could she understand any metrics that she could use for tracking the project value over time. We know that in AWS we do have a billing console, and one of the developers actually said that there is some free tools over there that we can use, but how come? How should we use those? And this is where a little bit of the input of Leo, Melanie, and David, and Dennis, sorry, actually come into play. They discussed that whatever they were going to use should be tied into and have visibility in the continuous improvement lifecycle that, being a DevOps company, they already introduced for their main product. So they want something that could be easily plugged into their already existing practice, having more visibility into the costs. Leo worked with AWS Config, a service that allows you for compliance of rules, some defined by AWS, some defined by us as clients, that could force or at least detect if something is not right. And whatever the measures that we are going to apply in order to make sure that any element in AWS could be seen as a cost, these are the things that we are going to use or that we could use AWS Config to enforce, to make sure that we have that capability all the time. So very nice points. And now let's think a little bit about how to do this, because at the end of the day, what we really need is to make sure that whatever we use in AWS, we have the possibility to understand how it's going to be used and where it's going to be used. So in order to do this, we could implement one of the measures that we teach in the course, which is make use of cost allocation tags. In AWS, any resource can have a tag explaining what is a facet of that resource. A facet of that resource could be what is the environment that we are placing that resource. Maybe this is a virtual machine in the development environment, or maybe this is a resource in the production environment. I could use a tag called environment with values development or production in order to make this difference. Now, if I enforce that tag and if I put another tag, let's say project, I could then assign a project to each resource. And if I could see these tags in the resource on the billing, I could have that link from what was attached to the resource as metadata, these tags, and see how it fares into my billing statement. I am absolutely sure that Melanie could then double check if everything that we have is always properly tagged, but we could also make a config rule to do this automatically. With this automation, Lisa, the CFO, could actually browse our bills and make the link between what is being used and the financial value of each of the projects that use resources in our AWS account. Does this make sense? Hopefully, yes. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to quickly open an AWS account. Here, I was thinking about creating a new one, but I couldn't use my phone again in that. So just bear with me for a second as I open a toy account of mine over here. It's not going to be as interesting, but it is also doable. So yeah, you have an AWS account of mine. Sorry, my bad. And for those of you that are new to AWS, I am using an identity and access management user here. So I'm not using the root account for security reasons. This being a toy account of mine that has served me for a couple of years, I am confident of assessing this as the admin user, as this is only used for demonstrations. Now, I'm going to actually go here to billing and cost management and open this as a secondary tab. But I'm going to first go here to an element EC2, the Elastic Compute Cloud, where we do have any virtual machines running. I do have over here machine running, just a demo that I have always running in this account. And by going into this instance, this virtual machine data, I'm going to look at what is these particular tags, that metadata that are in this element. As you can see, I have over here this tagged as production environment from the first POC with a name and for project 001. Now, project 001 could be whatever I want. With managed tags, I could actually exchange this project 001 to, let's say, mobile app nutrition. Okay. So what am I saying here? I could add more metadata, more of those tags as I require, when I require. This doesn't touch the machine at all. It doesn't impede its function, is adding to the information that we have. Now, I could add over here any tag I need. Let's create a new tag. And since this is a demo, why not say that this is for the digits tag demo. Now, you probably are seeing that this is metadata in the instance itself, other elements of AWS, and I'm going to go here to security groups. Security groups are what allows you to block certain ports and communication traffic into an EC2 instance. So this looks like a firewall rule that allows an element to be either used as a communication device or not. And as you can see over here in the keys, I already have some capability to understand certain environments, certain tags that are already being used in our environment. And I'm going to say that this is for the development environment. Okay, so a new value over that. Good. This just shows how easy it is to add to a resource, to a device such as the virtual machine or the rules, the configuration for the firewall, those tags. Now, how do we actually link this into billing? Well, this is where the billing and cost management console comes in. By default, you will not have access to this. Only the root account users or users that we provide access. This is a different console, is a different element than this one. This is a view, a program for resources and its management. Over here is a different element. It has a global reach because we are talking about the costs in that account, the whole of it. Now, how do you actually link those tags that we use into something that we can see in the cost reports? This is why this option here, cost allocation tags, comes into play. Now, you can see that in this toy account, I have done many iterations of this. I already have some user-defined tags over here. I have already asked some of these tags such as application, cost center, cost, and I do have even more. I do have also environment, either in lowercase and uppercase, active. And this is something that shows a little bit on the problem of not having a good tagging nomenclature defined. But in our case, environment over here is a tag that we could use to see what the production and the development elements are going to be charged from. I can easily deactivate this tag. Deactivating this means that we will not be able to use it to filter the reports. AWS itself already has a number of tags that could be used for allocation. One of them is the create by, which allows me to say this created by this particular user has X amount of costs. Now, once we set this cost allocation tags over here, what we can do next? Well, we can then go into any part of our costs and use this as one way to filter our billing information. Now, in this report over here, you could see that I can actually use daily or monthly granularity. Now we do have the possibility to set up cost categories, and they will appear over here as new dimensions. You could set up a cost category over here and say what would be that. Could be a new business, and as you saw, it automatically filtered for anything that has that category. Now, I'm going to just say no dimensions here whatsoever. And I'm actually going to scroll down over here, and then I can look at what are the tags that I could use. Those tags, those cost allocation tags that we used in the resources 24 hours after a tag is being introduced into a resource, it can be activated as a cost allocation. And over here, I can actually see what is the cost for projects and tags. And over here, I do see that I just want things for the production environment. And in this particular case, I have 0 costs in that month for that particular environment production for any service. So let's just say the service that I want is the EC2 instances. Let's apply it. For the last 6 months. All accounts. Well, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only one that really needs. And if I'm not mistaken, I was working in Frankfurt. Let me double check. Frankfurt over here. Yeah, Frankfurt. Now, as you can see, I am filtering all of this, and I should be seeing now the results filtered by that element. So here is the linked account that I'm using, correct? The region. I could see what is the instance types that I am going to I'm going to just select everything. And this cost explorer over here should be filtering out my production. So let me see. Let's go back. Oh, I'm just going in some costs on that category for that range. Okay. Month, 1 month. Why? Oh, no data for costs. That's strange. I have costs over here, and I have EC2 instances on October, so should be there, and they are not they're not aggregating everything. Oh, that's good. So let's do this a little bit slower. Just look at the EC2 instances, and let's apply this. Okay, so just the instances. Let's look at those that have let's just use the environmental. In the environment, I want to select just production. Oh, good. That shows me one thing. That tag wasn't there in October. And that is it. I had not tagged that resource in October. Now, this is where the second part, the config rule, would come into place, because this showed me that I had something running in my environment without having it properly linked to appear here in my reports. So how can I fix that? So this is where another service of AWS can come handy. Remember that config rule? Let's make it so that this will not happen. This configuration will be always there. So I'm going to add config. AWS config is a service that looks at changes in the resources, and it's very easy to set up. It now even have a one-click setup, which I'm going to use here. And after that, he is going to override a couple of settings, exclude for reporting certain elements that we know changed a lot and could be a security risk. The default settings are quite they cover quite a lot of services in a continuous way in terms of how it actually looks into them. And then we are going to just, in this one click install, confirm that we are not adding any rules for config to actually check those services. Great, it is set. I have no compliance rules that are in non-compliance, but I have no rules whatsoever in use. How could I put a rule that would enforce that every element that I create has a tag to it, and more important, have that tag project and environment added? Now I could add a rule in config. AWS already have managed rules. Managed rules are rules that they are the ones that do the upkeep of this. On our own, we can create a Lambda function to scan our environments and enforce that rule. But in this case, we already know that we have a rule and many rules over here with tags. One of which is the detective one called required tags. It is called detective because it is continuously detecting in our environment if there is a change and then reporting into it. There is certain other types of guardrails that we have in AWS that prevents you from doing things. We do not want at this stage to prevent anything to be used if it is not tagged. I'm just requiring that all the resources are evaluated if they have that tag, and if not, to be reported at this point. So over here, I want to see only resources, and I'm actually going to allow any resource type, but I want a particular tag to be in. And this is where the tag key name, and this is environment, the tag that I want to have, and I also want to have project. Regardless of the actual value, I want these two tags to be in every resource. But environment, I want to specify a little bit better. I want it to only have as possible values, production and dev. So I put the list of acceptable values here, and I just need to then scroll back and say next. Now I am creating a rule for all of the services that has environment as a mandatory tag. Values for environment could be production or dev. These are going to be validated. And then we have the string projects over here. So if I save this rule now, it is active. We could view its details. We can even reevaluate this at any point in time. So now if I click on required tags, I see the definition, but now I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and you already see that I have 42 non-compliance resources. So let's dive a little bit on these resources. Okay, let's see if they now are tagged with environment, or if they fail by not having that tag. For example, over here, I have a security group for an RDS database. I have over here EC2 route tables. I have VPCs. I have one more resources being loaded. Let's see. I even have database snapshots. So I'm going to just say here, let me filter here by EC2 instances. Here it is. Let me apply the filter. I have no EC2 instances, but let's see all the instances in any compliance state. Oh, that machine that I had created or added our production tag has compliance in. So let me show this working. I'm going to launch an instance over here, and this will be my mobile backend. And in this mobile backend, I'm just going to use the smallest machine. This is free tier eligible, meaning that it doesn't cost you anything. I'm not going to do anything very important. I'm just going to create a key pair for demo dg snack, just so that you could have this very simple, very customary experience. I'm going to select over here usual network settings in a project VPC, so I can launch this instance. One of the things that I could also do in this instance is to actually work with the metadata that we have. I'm going to launch this instance with no tag whatsoever. So here is the wizard creating the security groups that we set, the machine. That machine now can be seen here. And even before it is fully started and working, I'm going to go to that machine. I'm going to look at the tags, and there is no tag other than the name that we gave here in the console. So now what I want to see is that if I reevaluate that rule, now what I want to do is to see that if I go to the non-compliant list of resources, now I should have an EC2 instance as well. So the required tags are here, here is whatever is compliant. We have that security group, and now I have everything that isn't compliant. Oh, the list is long, so let me wait for this to finish. Yeah. And on the dashboard, I'm going to go to the same place, the same list. This allows me to do EC2 instance, apply the filter, and now I have one instance that is not compliant. Now, this compliance of these config rules allows me to say and see here what is the lack of proper oversight of the resources. So now I could make this compliant by quickly putting over there new tags, and this will be dev, right? And this is our compliance. It has to have dev, and it has to have a project, right? So project 002 now. Okay, so if I save this, and if I go to our rules again and say reevaluate, it's going to take a couple of seconds as well. So let's go to the dashboard. Let's wait a little bit. And we now can see that if I had those rules, this required compliance over here, running into October, I would have the possibility to see here in the billing console, in the cost explorer, exactly how much I'm going to spend into a particular environment, or who says environment says here this, who says environment here, choose tags, project, good. And now then project done. And now I could see the values. The value that was used in the past 24 hours was 001. So I could see here, and it would, after the billing report data, after 24 hours, get this changed, I could properly see here. I only have in this account the tag of environment to choose from. So this is the only thing that I can show you at this moment. Yeah, good. Now, one last thing. These tags over here, they are incorporated from what the element gathers from the use tags in your environment. It takes 24 hours for the tags to appear. So that value 002 that we put over here on the mobile backend, this value 002 over here will only appear after 24 hours. Okay, this allows you to prepare things properly, and once the billing information is extracted, it's going to be seen here. So what we accomplished was this, my friends. We set up to, in this toy account, we set out to show that costs with certain AWS resources could be linked here and seen in the billing console, and we set out to automatically check if we have these tags enforced. We could also ask for automatic remediation, but this is one of the things that we discuss in our costs. The next thing for us is in this test case to actually look at the POC accounts, implement remediation so that any new resource created in the management console or through a DevOps pipeline in whatever tool you want is always adhering to that compliance check of having the tags in. Now, we could even without having the application set up some ballpark figures on what we are going to spend using the AWS cost calculator. We could link whatever we want to forecast as maximum budget into alarms, and after doing load balance, get a more accurate picture of how much we are going to spend. That and much more is what we discuss in the financial beginner training path. The whole idea is to understand the ecosystem, understand the tools that we could use. These are just very simple tools that we could use over here, and they could start the conversation about what would be good cost savings or not. The whole idea is after these training paths, not only the builders, but everyone from the CFO, the CIO, the developers, we have a common understanding of what can be done and what should be done day to day in order to apply these principles. This training path is comprised by 3 courses. In the start, if you have no information about AWS, if you have never used it, we have the cloud for financial professionals. This is a course that bridges the knowledge from people that only understand the dollars and pennies being used into concepts of AWS and how to understand how costs in AWS are actually monitored. In architecting on AWS with best practices, we give everyone that enters it a good understanding of the usual best practices on AWS so that you can create solutions that not only are effective, but also compliant to the usual best practices for us to have environments that A, are scalable, but also are managed automatically. And this is why Cloud Financial Managers for Builders picks up, because builders already are in their job life creating these resources. How we give awareness and how we give tools for them to create those resources, use them, and keep everything in the reporting pipeline for financial services up to date, and with the knowledge of having made the best choices in terms of cost optimization throughout the day. So in order to be a little bit more complete, the slide deck has the short description of each of these courses, what are the requirements, how much time each one of them is that you need to invest on, and also links for the actual pages on Digicom. So now what I want to know is, are you ready to join us in this financial management of AWS resources? Thank you for your participation, guys. If you have any question, let me know.
Enrique, thank you very much. Quite interesting, quite enlightening, and quite a lot of work to do, apparently.
Well,
So what I understood is that within 24 hours the new tags are active. Can I as well go back with these tags?
yes, it is possible to retrofit tags that already existed. But this
Okay.
is a technique that is a little bit more difficult, and this account is clean of this element in order for us to exactly do these kind of exercises in the course.
Yeah. But
Even
so
though
if I forgot something to tag and 3 months later I detect, oh, I should have been tagging that or should have been.
the approach here was let's work like if this was someone that know nothing and is trying to implement these steps. I hope that they were simple to go through.
Follow.
And if any of the people that is going to see this in the recording, they could start implementing this right away, start toying with this, and when they join us in the financial management job track, we will show what we should have done in the first place, what are the best practices, and also how we can backtrack this.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Great.
Good. Good
So
that
I
you.
see we don't have any questions. So thank you very much, Enrique. And yeah, keep up the good work. I'm gonna stop the recording now.